Shares in China Evergrande have fallen 15% to an 11-year low as the company nears a default. The sell-off was triggered by the property giant's warning on Friday that it might not be able to pay more than $80 million in obligations that are due today. That puts Evergrande on the verge of a complicated restructuring, which would be the biggest in Chinese history. It could also mean hefty losses for investors. Now, for months, the company's been able to avert defaults through last-minute payments funded by the sale of non-core assets. Evergrande's billionaire founder Wei Ka-yan has even sold some of his personal belongings, reportedly including several mansions and a pair of private jets, to buy time for his company. But his wealth at just under $7 billion is nowhere near the $300 billion that Evergrande owes. Now for more, let's go to Halley in Jakarta. He's a senior market analyst for the Asia-Pacific region at Oanda. Welcome back to the program, Jeffrey. Now, there's still a lot of uncertainty for Evergrande's bondholders, its investors. But what about customers who've paid for homes and offices that haven't been delivered? What does this mean for them?
Well, it certainly does look like Evergrande is moving towards a default. They also said they had a demand for $260 million on Friday, which they said that they can't pay either in their 2022 dollar debt. It's trading at 5 cents in the dollar today. So the market is pretty much pricing in a default. Look, I believe that the people who have bought houses or apartments from them, contractors, the owners of wealth management products, all of these ecosystem will be made good in some form or fashion by the Chinese government, be it by, even if they have to use state-owned enterprise property developers, state-owned property developers to take over some of Evergrande's assets and do so. To not do so would be effectively breaking their social contract with the people of China, in the case of the Chinese Communist Party, but also it would make a bit of a mockery of the shared prosperity mantra that President Xi Jinping has made such a centerpiece of his policy this year.
Now, obviously, this is the biggest company that's in crisis in the Chinese property sector. But should we expect other companies to get into even more trouble in the coming months?
Yes, absolutely. Now, we're looking at a company called Sunshine 100 yesterday, defaulted on, I think, about $170 million worth of offshore debt. And Kaiser, which is another very shaky developer, has got a final deadline tomorrow. The grace period runs out on a large amount of US dollar debt as well. So it's not just Evergrande. Evergrande just happens to be the whale in this ocean. Now, there are quite strong property developers in China, and we saw some of the stronger ones, such as Country Garden, actually rally quite strongly today in Hong Kong. So I suspect there might be a bit of manoeuvring and strong-arming on the government side to actually pick up some parts of the carcasses of these companies. But I think we really are approaching an end game for some of the weaker developers.
How big of a threat is this for the Chinese economy?
I don't think it is, unless that the actual total debt amounts that we're talking about are far, far higher, including all these off-balance sheet items that the companies over there seem to love using. Unless that's far, far higher than what is actually already out there in the markets at the moment, I think the Chinese government will move heaven and earth to make sure that this doesn't become a contagion event in the financial system, be it by more targeted lending to healthy property developers, to industry in general, making good on people's apartments they've bought, or even cutting the RRR rate for banks, freeing up capital so they can lend more.
All right, Halley from Oanda, always good to have you on, joining us from Jakarta.
Thank you.